good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 241. This is a show where I share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. But before we get on with the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome. Go visit us on Twitter at PS This Is Awesome. And if you want to make fun of our trophy lists on the PlayStation Network, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. As always, you can write our show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends. Make sure to leave comments, rate the podcast as you see fit, and all that other kind of jazz. As a reminder, we are a video podcast as well, so you can watch the show if you prefer over at our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to that. And for new and or long-time listeners, we now have a Patreon where you can support our show at a $1 level called the One and Only $1 Club. Head over to www.patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome to become a $1 patron. Get a free die-cut vinyl sticker mailed to you in the mail and a shout-out on our show for $1 a month. With that out of the way, Jake, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. I spent the whole week in Chicago. That was neat. But I'm back now and kind of wore out from the trip. We played a show last night. I basically drove all the way back from Chicago and then had enough time to essentially clean up and get in the car and drive all the way up to Erie to play that show. But it ended up okay. And then but other than that, I mean, I'm having a pretty good day. How about yourself?
Good, man. Real good to hear. Yeah, that show was something else, wasn't it? I was just at the store.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. So for the listeners who don't know, I am an honorary member. Actually, I was inducted to the 40 Under 40 for Erie, Pennsylvania when I was 39 years old. They caught me just in the nick of time. And they like to have these parties every year for the new inductees. We were asked to play as the Flood. So Jake came down, the band came down, and long story short, we have made friends with a dude in town who's a fantastic sound guy, nice guy, really likes our music, who just happened to be working like this other stage for the 40 Under 40, but the stage we were told there was going to be sound on, like it was really just tossed together. And this is the kind of shit that like I just wish we were a little more popular because this would not happen. You know what I mean? If we were just a little famous, this would never happen. But it doesn't. So we have to deal with these kinds of things. Always grateful to be asked to do something like this, but it was kind of stressful. And the room we played in was like 3,000 degrees. So I don't know. It was a fun time. I just got back from the store, like I was saying, and it was really weird. It was a weird sight. Maybe only in Northwest Pennsylvania will you see this, but I saw this guy on a Harley. And, the sun's going down. He's got his backwards hat on, no helmet. And he's just, like, revving at the stoplight. And I have my window down, and I hear, "So over carry on." He's listening to Loser by Beck. And he's like, he's choking on a splinter. He's like, and I'm like, why is that guy? And it was so loud. It was so much. It was, like, intentionally loud. Almost like he wanted the world to hear that Beck song. And I was like,
I think, I'll be honest with you, and this may or may not be controversial, but I don't think it's that hot of a take to say that those sound systems that people blare on their fucking Harleys should be illegal.
Yeah, they should be illegal.
It's so annoying.
And they also don't ever sound good. I've never heard one that's like, oh wow, that sounds really nice. Because it's always battling the noise of the bike.
One of the things the way that I look at it is I'm like, what's easier and better is to just wear a helmet with a sound system in it. Yeah. But no, all these guys are usually like fucking just manly men with their beards and their fucking leather vests with no helmet on, just cranking,
Usually it's like Back in Black by AC/DC, but it was Beck this
like
time, which was such a weird choice.
Yeah, it's usually like some classic rock or like some country occasionally around here.
Yeah.
But Yeah, you never hear like fucking Weezer coming out of
or the Foo
like
Fighters or Super Drag or some sort of good
or like freaking Ariana Grande or something like that is not coming out of this fucking motorcycle.
Yeah.
So
Fucking dashboard
I always
confessional.
it's one of the jokes I always it's one of the jokes I always make that is so true. And I have this conversation with a guy at work all the time about how like, and I don't mean this. I hate to like paint broad strokes, but Harley guys, like the stereotypical Harley guys, are literally some of the most vain people I've ever met in my entire life.
Sure.
Like they've got to have their their gear on and their fancy bike and their big sound system and all this stuff. And I'm like, you do you, but whenever I'm like sitting in the car and I can't hear my own fucking music because your motorcycle beside me is so fucking loud so that you can hear it over your motorcycle and the wind noise.
Yeah.
That it's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess how is it any different than, 15 years ago or 20 years ago when people used to have the big sound systems in their car?
It's really
and
not.
They used to drive around, boom, 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 But I don't know. It's a bit of a digression, I guess.
It's a little different because there's usually a pretty good age gap, right? Like a lot of the people blasting music in their car are like younger kids. Usually men who ride Harleys are usually in their early 30s to like end of life. You don't see usually many 20-year-olds ripping around on Harleys. Usually it's like, I don't know. The demographic is typically an older man, older white dude. And
those are the only people that can afford them.
That's the truth. All right. Well, shit, man. I don't really have much else to say. The weekend has been good so far. I've been working on some miniatures. You probably can't see these, but I have this game, and I had it as a kid. This little dude here. I'm showing it to Jake on the other call.
I see that.
Yeah.
It's the guy with a gun sword.
Yeah, he's like this little monster guy. So there was a game back in the day. I know I talk a lot about Hero Quest, but there was another game called Siege of the Citadel, and it was made by Pressman Games, and it was from early 90s. And it's gotten a second edition that kickstarted in like 2018, 2017. That was just recently fulfilled by Modius or Morpheus or Mortifus or something like that. I don't know. But needless to say, it's an old game that very heavily kind of plays on the whole Space Marine aesthetic, and it's very fun. You have two teams. You have multiple teams of two. And you play for different corporations, your people. And I found this. There's an online website for a really big game reseller, board game, not video game, board game reseller called Noble Knight Gaming or Noble Knight Games. And I found the old version that I had as a kid. And now that I'm into painting minis and I have all this gear and stuff to paint things really nice and like get nice sets made, I found this game for sale for like $50, the original version. And I was like, dude, I'm going to grab this because I remember playing it as a kid and it was a lot of fun. And you can't find a copy of it now for less than $100 usually. So I got a killer deal on it. And then when they sent it to me, they sent it to me without a card, which is hilarious. I was missing one weapon card because I did stock when I got it and I wrote them, and their customer support was amazing. Like, yeah, we'll get that to you. And somehow they had the card. So I don't know. I must have pulled it from another game they had on stock. But yeah, dude. So I've been painting that Siege of the Citadel, Mutant Chronicles, first edition. I forget what those guys are called, but I only have 2 figures left to paint, and that set will be complete. And that's a fucking fun game. We need to play this. This is awesome. It's like you go into like alien territory, and your levels are timed. There's so many action cards per level, and each beginning of each round you flip one, and it's like, oh, the alarm system trips, and all these bad guys show up, and like you're competing with other corporations, so other 2-person teams of corporations, but essentially you all want to make it out alive, so you kind of cooperate, but whoever gets the most kills get the most credits, and then in between levels you use those credits to level up your weapons, and your characters get better, and it's really cool. And if you have the most experience with your corporation team and you lose and you lose the quest or the mission, you get docked experience points because you're supposed to be like the captain and that does bad team leadership. So like you get fucked like if you're the highest level and you guys don't make it out alive. So there's a lot of like maneuvering and stuff in this game. It's real simple. It's a dice roller. There's not a lot. It's not heady or anything. It's just like, here's some aliens. You get points for killing so many, and then you just kind of fight. Go against your teammates, other players, I guess, right? Other corporation players, and you're just trying to rack up the most kills and achieve the mission to save humanity. But all these corporations are involved because they want to look good. So it's really freaking cool and interesting. It's a little cheesy and on the nose with some of the classes. Like the one class has like something that looks a lot like the Japanese flag. It's like the sun, but it has like the sunbeams coming out or whatever. And then the one guy's like a samurai. He has like this electric sword, and the other guy has like this like weird like Mongolian shield or something. Mongolian isn't Japanese, but very Asian based group. And then you have like capitalist America group with like the guy who looks like he chugs a lot of beers and has a really big gun. So it's a really fucking cool game. Anyways, I've been working on that, but let's talk about some games that we're playing. I'm trying to keep the notes again, and it is so hard. I don't know how I can sing and play guitar at the same time, but I can't track the timestamps for when we're getting into these conversations and write it down. It's actually kind of tough for me to do. Games we're playing. Right now, I'm still working on Lake, and I talked about it, your postal delivery game. There's 2 weeks. You're gone for 2 weeks. I just completed Tuesday of the second week, so I have about 5 more days left to go. They go pretty quick. It's like 20 minutes for a day, so it's not a very long game. It's not a game I like want to sit down and just plow through. You know what I mean? So yeah, whenever I kind of get bored, I put it on. But it's going good. That's about all I've had time for this week. Work's been kicking my ass, been stressing me out. You were in Chicago. Did you get any gameplay in? Did you do anything?
So I played a little bit of Cyberpunk still after the last time we recorded, but before I left for as they call Second City over there in the Midwest. But I usually have some hotel time when I'm there, so I always take my Xbox Series S because I don't want to get my PS5 busted in travel. Plus, the PS5 is just way bigger and would be difficult to transport. So, as I've talked about on the show, I'm a Game Pass subscriber, so a lot of times I'll kind of pick something out to play while I'm on one of these trips or whatever, just to like try something new. And so the 2 games that I've been playing this week are, one of them is called Midnight Fight Express.
Oh, this game looks
cool. This before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's almost like a. It seems like it was clearly inspired by Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
But it's more of like an isometric, like, it's not like you get hit once you die, like kind of like Hotline Miami is. It's not that fast paced. There's a little bit more like skill to it. A little more forgiving. There's a little more forgiveness. You have health. You can get beat up a little bit and still make it through the level and stuff. The game is really cool. My one gripe about it so far is that the controls are really sluggish, and I don't understand why. They're not snappy enough. Like, I feel like it's like there's a little bit of a lag between like when you press the attack button and the character does the attack. I don't know if it's because it's winding up some animation or if it's just like an input lag thing, but for whatever reason, it doesn't necessarily like once you get into it, it's not like killing the experience, but it is like noticeable and it is annoying. But other than that, the game itself seems really cool. So I would recommend if people have a chance to check that out, because I'm playing it on Game Pass, but it is out on PlayStation, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the other game I've been playing, and this is one that I highly recommend to you, Fred, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. It is so fucking good. It's one of those, dude, I'm not even a big beat 'em up fan. I don't really even like them that much, but if you are into Streets of Rage, I don't know how you could not love this game.
Yeah.
It is so good. The fucking the whole like the intro sequence when you start the game, it's like they made a new, and I could be completely wrong about this, but it's like they made a new intro for the classic TMNT cartoon with like the theme song and everything, and they like made it look like it was from like a VHS era like fucking cartoon, like it's all grainy and shit, and like then you just like get into the game and it's all just, it looks like a Super Nintendo game and it plays like a Super Nintendo game, and all the controls are really snappy. I love the move sets of the turtles, like they're all a little bit different. I only played, so I played with Leo is my favorite, but I also played with Donatello and Michelangelo, and both of them are cool, but I like the swords that Leo has. He has this like ability where if you do like a double jump and then attack, he does this flip roll where he like kind of like is like attacks with, he almost makes like a spinning blade whenever he like rolls with his swords. And it's really useful for like the way I kind of like to play the game. But I guess when you beat it, you unlock Casey Jones, which I really think would be fucking awesome to play as. And I don't know how far I am into it, but I'm like on world like level like, I don't know, 13 or 14 or something like that. So I got pretty far in it, considering each level is like, they average like 10 minutes long, something like that, which is a lot for me in a week to do. But yeah, so I did play a couple hours of that other game, Midnight Fight Express. It was a lot of fun, but I kept getting drawn back to TMNT, dude. It is so good.
I get it.
That for a new game, it is. I mean, at least if they have it on sale or something like that, you should snag it, because I think that you would. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but seeing as how much you loved Streets of Rage, I think that you would really enjoy it.
That's good, man. I'm glad you're playing that. I'll tell you what. There's if I can pull it up real quick, I have my wish list, and my wish list is freaking getting out of control. We should do this sometime where we list all the games on our wish list. I won't go through them all, but right now, games similar, maybe it is on my wish list, and it's on sale for $20 right now on the PSN.
Oh, really?
It retails at $25, so it's $5 off. I have Ghost and Goblins Resurrection on there also. That game looked really fucking good. But it looked really, really hard. And it's $30. It's on sale for $20. And then what else did I have on there? I don't know why I have Dreams on there. I have Dreams on there. 'Cause I guess I'm just curious about it. That game Jet, The Far Shore, was on my list. It's 40% off at $18. But let me see here.
Didn't we get Dreams? I thought we got Dreams in like fucking PS Plus or something.
I don't know. I do have the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, which is not on sale. That's $20. And Bubble Bobble, still Bubble Bobble 4. It's never goes below $24, and I'm not willing to pay that for it. I may never play that game, but yeah, we should have a section where we talk about our wish list at some point, maybe next episode. Do you have a wish list going?
I don't know if I have one like actively, because can you make one?
Yeah, you can make them on the PSN, and then whenever those games are on sale, you get a notification saying a game on your wish list is currently on sale. It's fucking nice.
Oh, okay. So I haven't used that.
Okay.
But I could compile one pretty easily.
Yeah.
That might be a good topic for 250 or something.
Yeah, I agree. That would be good. All right, well, let's get into the news. So it's been a pretty big news week, but not as big as last week. But the big thing we got was a state of play, and we're going to get to that. But first, I want to kind of go over a couple other things real quick. The first point is that Street Fighter 6 finally has released the initial characters that are going to be included with their upcoming game. There was a pretty interesting trailer for the single-player World Tour mode, and that'll lead the player on a personal journey to discover their quote-unquote true strength. That trailer's kind of interesting. You can find that online anywhere at this point, probably. The roster's going to have 18 characters. And per Push Square, the list is going to include Luke, Jamie, Manon, Kimberly, Marissa, Lily, JP, Jury, DJ, Cammy, Ryu, E Honda, Blanca, Guile, Ken, Chun-Li, Zangief, and Dalzim. So keep in mind, there will most likely be additional DLC down the road, despite having announced any future plans at this point for the title. The first 9 people I've never heard of.
I was gonna say I only recognize maybe half of that cast, and it's like the second half, which you said, which are like all the classic Street Fighter characters.
There's a couple. There's a couple that are noticeably absent, like Sagat and Bison's not on there. Blanca's on there, which is cool. I feel like there's a couple other ones that I'm used to seeing in Street Fighter.
Well, M. Bison is fucking gonna be in there. I mean, how can he not be? He's like the main villain. And Sagat is his fucking lieutenant. How could both of those characters not be in that game?
They're probably not even relevant anymore. I don't know.
Maybe they're DLC characters.
It's weird that those two. Yeah, weird that those two aren't in there. And then who was the boxer? They had a boxer, Balrog.
Oh, Balrog?
Yeah, he's not on here. So interesting. But what do you think about this, man? World Tour mode, single player mode, Street Fighter. Like, I don't know if you make a custom character or how this fucking works, but I fucking love. If I'm gonna play a fighting game, like a straight up fighter, it's gonna be Street Fighter. It's not gonna be anything else. Street Fighter is the one that has my heart. Well, maybe Mortal Kombat, but it's one of the two. I don't know. Any interest yet in this game, Jake? Like, if it's free or like, I mean, would you want to try it if you were given the option?
If I'm gonna play, I'll be honest. Like, the only fighting game that when I see it, I actually want to play it is Tekken. For whatever reason, I don't know. I think that I've just totally written off fighting games. Yeah. Because I know that I'm never going to be
good enough.
Like, especially these types of fighting games. I can get into like the platform fighters and stuff because they're just easier to play. Mm-hmm. They control a little bit more fluidly. There's not so much. They aren't complicated. They're easy to do. But these ones that are like slow and plodding, like you press, like, dude, just the fact that you press up to jump pisses me off so much. I can't even imagine.
I love it.
I hate it so much.
It's got to be up to jump.
Whatever. I am interested in like viewing these games, but I'm not necessarily interested in actually playing them.
All right, fair enough, man. Well, I'm excited to at least maybe play it if it gets on sale, and I'm sure it will. It usually takes a while for Street Fighter to go on sale, but it'll happen. It will happen. Next news point is PSVR 2. Jake, we're finally getting some news regarding the VR 2. We need to hash this out. We need to talk about it. I don't know what all you've seen, but sites such as Eurogamer, IGN, they now have had a chance to go hands-on with the PSVR 2. For what I've seen, it's pretty much exactly what Sony has been saying that this unit is. A more easy-to-use, leveled-up version of the PSVR. However, I will say the IGN hands-on review of this kind of pissed me off. They were critical of it, but the dude reviewing it, and I don't know who he was. I'm not putting him on blast or anything, but he seemed kind of like, it was almost like they were like, let's take the dude at IGN who is the VR guy, right? So he shows up and like, he just seemed so lackluster about what he had to say. He didn't talk about some of the other things. Eurogamer, their video reviews seemed much more detailed. Like the IGN guy was just, I went, I tried on the unit. This is the vibe I got. It was like, it was, it looked good. I wish I would have implemented haptics a little better. Didn't really feel the rumble much. This, that, and then it was just like, I don't know. But then Eurogamer was like, the games that we played didn't utilize the rumble features as much. So it seems like that's a thing that's going to be contingent on how the games are programmed, right? So the 4 games that they got to play, I think they got to play Resident Evil Village in VR. Another one was like the Horizon demo in VR, and then I think there were 2 other ones. But if you're gonna watch a review on the PSVR 2, or at least the first hands-on experience, watch the one from Eurogamer. Hell, watch them both, but I thought the Eurogamer one was a little more, not that it was like more positive, it just seemed more thorough, like the guy who actually reviewed it actually fucking cared about it. It was weird. It's the first time one of these IGN videos just kind of struck me like the guy didn't really care about it. I don't know.
Did they say what games they played? I don't know.
The IGN one didn't, but the Eurogamer did. The Eurogamer review did, and I can't remember. I know it was those 2 that I mentioned, and then there must have been 2 others. I don't recall what they were, though. I should have written them down. But so that's interesting. And as news continues to trickle out regarding the VR2 unit, Sony has confirmed that PSVR games are not compatible with a PSVR 2. So if you plan on getting a VR2, don't go stocking up on PSVR game sales right now and buying them, thinking, oh, when I get the VR2, I'm going to be able to use them. Because they're not going to be compatible. And this could be due to numerous reasons. And an obvious one probably is being that the controllers are going to be entirely different. And the tracking system is completely different. So there must be something about the way they have to program these games to work in VR, to work with the way that the tracking and the controls are used. I don't know, but there's also not a light bar on the DualSense controller, and there is on the DualShock. And some of those games, like Astrobot, required the light bar use for certain parts, where you had to hold it and push it forward and stuff to match the thing. Can't fucking do that with the DualSense. So Sony continuously locks themselves out of their own hardware all the time. So that's interesting. Any opinion on that?
I'm guessing that it just has a lot to do with how the new PSVR unit works. Like how you have to program the actual like vision tracking and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It makes it just kind of difficult for them to just do like a 1-to-1 port. And so I guess I'm not entirely surprised by this. And it kind of makes me glad that I don't own a ton of PSVR games.
Yeah, I do.
Because
kind of
PSVR 2 seems like it might command the amount of... It might have evolved enough to where I'm going to actually be interested in using it regularly, unlike the first VR, which was great at launch. I had a lot of fun with it, especially with games, like Thumper. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't get over the clumsiness of the setup with the Move controllers and all the cables and the fucking camera and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for the new one, and I'm sure that this is really a bummer for a lot of people, but it doesn't really affect me much.
Yeah. Well, that being said, PSVR Without Parole, which is a super popular YouTube channel for the PSVR, has done deep diving on this issue, Jake. And they've reported that a lot of developers are actually working on ports of their popular PSVR games, so they can be played on PSVR. But with that being said, it certainly makes existing PSVR users question if or what the upgrade price is going to be to have their already purchased VR games work on the new VR2 headset. So it would definitely be a bummer to lose games like Blood and Truth, Wipeout, Omega Collection, Thumper, No Man's Sky VR, Skyrim VR, all those games. It would suck to lose those, just lost to the hardware. In other titles, that are really decent that I really liked. Hopefully the ports are relatively easy to make, but do you think they're going to do some kind of structured pricing or offer free upgrades for already purchased VR games that got a VR2 port?
I would say that
like Moss?
It's going to be up to the developer, right? Because that's the way that PS4 to PS5 is. Are they going to make their PSVR 2 version free or not? Is it going to be a free upgrade, or is it going to be a pay to upgrade?
Right.
I wouldn't surprise me if Sony was like, oh, if you want Astrobot, it's going to cost you $10 to upgrade to the new version. Mm-hmm. But, it could be that let's say the company that made Arizona Sunshine, they port it to PSVR 2. They might say,
Saints and Sinners, or
or they're like, oh well, we'll just make it free if you want to upgrade. It also probably really depends on how much effort it really takes. If it's like a full on fucking rebuild of the controls and everything, then they may all charge for it. But if it's like just a tweak here and there and then making some adjustments and maybe brushing up the graphics, then who knows? They might be free. It really depends on the developer, I think.
Yeah, they need to come up with some sort of compiler that just takes the existing code for the VR game and just like compiles it and rearranges it to work on a VR2. Like, there's got to be some easy, quick, and then you could just bug check it, right? Just do some quality assurance tests and then just be, okay, here's the new fucking version. You would think there would be something like that. But
well, like I said, I think it depends on how like the vision portion of it is programmed, because Sony is completely changing the way that the vision works on the PSVR 2 with the inside out tracking and all of that kind of shit. It's completely different than PSVR was.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that it's a lot of work to port it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much a problem with the controls as it is the vision portion. But I could be wrong.
Even the Tomb Raider VR part was awesome, where you get to walk around in Croft Manor. And then the other VR thing I really enjoyed was Resident Evil 7, right? Or no, 6? Which one was before Village? 7, right? Village is 8, right? Resident Evil?
Yeah.
I get that so confused because they don't ever call it what it is. Yeah, all right. So whatever 7 was, Biohazard or whatever they called it, that game in VR was awesome. But this makes me wonder, man, like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do, man? What I would like to see is some sort of upgrade path. Like, okay, we verified you own the game. We're going to charge you $5 for the upgrade or $10 for the upgrade instead of buying it flat out for $30 or $40. That way you can go through your library and be like, okay, these are the fucking games I really liked on VR. I want to try out the new headset. Like Thumper would be on my list. The Omega Collection would be on my list. Probably the Resident Evil would be on my list. Blood and Truth would be on there. So I could spend like $40 and get 4 of my games. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's kind of a disaster at the moment, but yeah, I don't know. I digress. Well, let's talk about the state of play, Jake. We said we were going to do that, and there's a bit to talk about here. They rolled this out of nowhere. It really came out of nowhere. It was like one of those things where it's like, oh, by the way, we're doing this tomorrow. So there was like no time to even ruminate on what it might be or ponder. So I don't even have an order. I pulled the order, I think, from Push Square, but I did make my own list, and I sent it to you because you wrote me. You're like, dude, I didn't even get to watch the state of play, and I was like, you didn't miss a whole lot. There were a couple really interesting games on there. The first thing that was interesting was the Tekken 8 reveal for PS5. Now, Jake, you said if you saw any game, it would be a Tekken game that you'd be excited about. Did you watch this trailer or no?
So I did scrub through the whole, like I said, I was traveling, so I didn't get a chance to watch the state of play like when it came out, but I did scrub back through it, and I watched the trailer. It was just like a cinematic kind of thing. I mean, I think it just showed Kazuya and Jin Kazama fighting, and it was just like basically a cinematic fight sequence between the two of them. I'm sure some of it looked like it was legit gameplay, and some of it might have just been kind of just like cinematic overture, but like, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where when I say that I am interested in it, like, I don't care about like the hype leading up to the game or whatever. It's just like, I like to see it and it looks cool, but I don't necessarily care so much about trailers and stuff. So we'll see. I don't know. I did see it. It was interesting, but I moved on pretty quickly.
Yeah. I did read that the Tekken 8, they are rebuilding all of their assets from scratch for this game. So they're putting a lot of TLC into this game. So I would imagine it's going to be fucking rad. But that's cool.
It looks good. I mean, the trailer looks fucking legit.
Yeah.
If any of that is real gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right, the next thing that we got, well, this isn't the next thing in order, but we did see a new story trailer for God of War Ragnarok. I'll be honest, I watched it, but while I was watching it, I was like, I don't fucking want to see any of this. I don't want to see any of it. And I saw some imagery that kind of pissed me off because I was like, that would have been really cool to not know that was going to come up eventually. I'm just so tired.
I didn't watch it. This is the one thing I didn't watch. I didn't watch any of the God of War stuff.
Smart.
I knew that they announced the controller. I already saw images of it online. I didn't need to see that. And I saw the. Sorry to jump ahead, but I saw the. I saw when that trailer started. I was just like, okay, I know they're talking about this because I already saw like the punch list of everything they showed.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just skipped this part.
So
because like you, I didn't really want to see any of it. Not necessarily because I'm like super duper amped about God of War, but if I'm gonna play it, like I want to be. It's gonna be a narrative experience. I don't want to really have any imagery spoiled for me.
Well, the thing
even if it's not necessarily story heavy.
So it'd be like never having played Uncharted 2, but watching a trailer where there's this really big train scene, or like there's like an Antarctic level where there's snow everywhere, or like all of a sudden you're in Nepal, right? And you see these little snippets, and it's like, okay, so no surprises for me then. I know all the locations. I know characters. I've seen their faces. Like I want. For games like this, where it takes years and years and years and years to make, I want it to be 100% fresh. And it's not when you get exposed to these trailers. And I only watched it because I was like, well, maybe they're going to fucking say something else. And I just want to know for the podcast. But I did intentionally avoid most of it. And I didn't really pay attention, but I did see some imagery that not only did I get stoked about it, but I was also like, man, this sucks because now I know I'm going to encounter this character. And I've never seen this person before. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it kind of ruined some of the artistic value of the game now.
Yeah.
What do you think about that God of War controller? So since you already talked about that, there's a God of War controller. It's just gray. I don't know. Like, do you how many controllers do you have?
I have 2.
Do they both work still?
Yes, one of them has 2 buttons that are sticky because I accidentally spilled beer on it. Yeah. But other than that, they both work fine.
I have 2 controllers as well, and one of them sucks, and the other one is the only one that works, and that was like the black one I purchased. But I am in the market for a new controller, but I don't really go for these game specific controllers. I'd rather just have one that just is regular. So
I like the decal on the touchpad, but I don't really care for the color scheme.
Yeah.
Like the decal is like a big wolf and a small wolf, almost like a father and like a pup or whatever, which I assume is supposed to be like Kratos and Atreus. Mm-hmm. But like it's a cool decal, but like you, I don't really care much about these controllers.
Yeah.
So
it's not incentive enough for me to buy one. I buy controllers based specifically on utility. Like, I just need them to play games. I don't care what's on them. I don't really care what they look like. But
now, if you pre-order God of War, you get $10 off the God of War controller or something like that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Then I would be motivated to buy one. Like, they don't have to give you like a huge discount or something. But I guess there's no incentive for them to do that because there are plenty of people out there that are interested in owning these limited edition controllers.
So many people want it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get on to the next game that they talked about. There's a game called Rise of the Ronin. It's a new Team Ninja game, and it's going to be a PS5 console exclusive with a slated release date of 2024. I believe this is going to be an adventure game. Any interest?
What do you mean an adventure game?
Well, like action adventure. Not like
so
not like
you don't mean like fucking King's Quest.
I was gonna say King's Quest. That's the only adventure game that ever comes to mind.
Yeah, I did. So I think this game looks cool. I mean, to me, I don't know. It's tough to tell based on the combat that they showed. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be more like. To me, I wonder if it's going to be, let's say that the center line is Ghost of Tsushima. Is it going to be more hardcore or less hardcore than that? Because it looks like an open world action game surrounding a Japanese warrior in the 1800s. But is it going to be hardcore like Ninja Gaiden was? or is it going to be a little bit more forgiving, like, more towards like what Ghost of Tsushima is? And I would even say that Ghost of Tsushima, at least at the beginning, was a little bit challenging before you like really leveled up your guy. So I'm guessing it's going to probably be a little bit, the combat will probably be a little bit challenging, but I'm hoping it's not like overwhelmingly hardcore like Neo was. Because this is the team that made Neo. So, but I do think that the combat, and I love the idea of Japan during the era when like Western civilization is trying to like take it over.
Right.
Where like there are like there's still samurai, but then there's also guns and shit like at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like that movie The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise for some reason.
Yeah.
Like there's a really dope scene in the trailer where I didn't even know, because I watched it with the sound off, so I don't even know if they even said what the guy's name was, but like the main character, he has like a musket with a bayonet and he fucking stabs a guy with it, and then he like whips it out and like does this spin move and shoots the guy in the head. Like it's really like, to me it seems like they could do some really cool like combo type things where they marry like sort of the melding of worlds, like the gunpowder world and like the world of steel and melee combat. And I think that it could, like, maybe you could build different character classes where it's like, this is more guns, this is more, traditional samurai or whatever. I don't know much about the game yet, but to me, it looks awesome. The only thing that doesn't look awesome to me is the fact that they already announced it for fucking 2 years from now.
Yeah.
It's like, why even announce it at all unless you're planning on releasing this thing in like February of 24?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get a little temperature check for what Sony's kind of in on, right? So it's nice to see these things, but it also, like, at the same time, I don't fucking care because it's 2 years away. But it is cool. It is cool. So I agree. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think if you go to the PlayStation blog, if listeners go to the PlayStation blog, you can go up there and you can see some of the fantastic screenshots they pulled from this. And one is like the samurai holding like a revolver pointing at somebody. And that's just cool imagery. Like, I don't know why it's cool, but it's just fucking cool. The next one, another game I want to talk about was Like a Dragon Ishin. And it's making its way to us in the U.S. For a February 2023 release. Now, I do want to say Like a Dragon is a continuation of the Yakuza franchise. They're just no longer calling it Yakuza. I don't know if you knew that.
So do you know what the concept is of this game?
Of this game?
This particular game.
It's based in like the 1860s. I know that much.
So the listeners can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure what they did with this game, which I think is super fucking cool, is they took the characters from Yakuza and just transported them back to the 1800s and made a story with the same characters, but they're in feudal Japan as opposed to modern Tokyo. And I think that that's kind of a cool concept.
I think it's set in like a fictionalized, according to the PlayStation blog, a fictionalized version of Kyoto, which if you're familiar with, oh my gosh, what is her name? A singer. Help me out. She's in Better Oblivion Community Center.
Phoebe Bridgers?
Yeah, Phoebe. Her latest record, she had a song that starts off, "Day off in Kyoto." And they're talking about a day on tour in Kyoto. So this is the Kyoto tie-in was Phoebe Bridgers.
I'm sure that literally nobody that listens to this podcast probably has ever heard that song before.
It's one of her best songs. You should listen to it. It's fantastic. But yeah, so
I like Phoebe Bridgers. She's good.
She's really talented. Yeah. I didn't mean to throw that crazy digression wrench into what you were saying. But yeah, that sounds awesome. They're just transporting characters that we're familiar with back in the day. It'd be like if you saw Victor Sullivan in Nathan Drake in like the War of 1812.
It would be pretty neat to see imagine if they did an Uncharted, but it was like the same characters, but in England in the 1500s or something.
Like Sherlock Holmes.
Like that
stuff.
would be that would be pretty fucking cool. Or I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
No, I think it's cool. I like the idea of this game. Do you know why they dropped the Yakuza title? And all their games now are Like a Dragon. Do you know why?
Well, the new Yakuza game is called Yakuza Like a Dragon, right? And then this is called Like a Dragon Ishin, which I don't remember what Ishin means. It's a Japanese word, but it's something relevant to like this concept. And then so I don't know. Like, I think that like the mainline Yakuza games are still gonna have the Yakuza like surname. It'll be like Yakuza Like a Dragon 2 or something like that. Will probably be the next one or something. But I think that this is just called Like a Dragon because it's a spin-off. Well, and it's not like a mainline game.
I'm on SVG.com and I looked this up, and they actually have come out and said they're no longer using it. So this is what's weird. So Sega...
They're no longer using Yakuza.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
So it says Sega will be developing more sequels and spin-offs for the series going forward. This is off of SVG.com. However, those games will no longer be given the Yakuza name. The first hint that this change was going to be made came when Sega announced several new Yakuza games. Along with the 8th installment to the series, Sega announced 2 additional titles. None of their titles included the word Yakuza. Instead, according to Sega's official announcement trailers, the games were called Like a Dragon 8, Like a Dragon Ishin, and Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. Some fans may be wondering, what's the deal with the change? And it says, after noticing the shift to Like a Dragon instead of Yakuza, Kotaku's Luke Plunkett reached out to Sega to ask what exactly was going on. The company's response was quite simple. The Yakuza name is no longer being used. It's been completely replaced with Like a Dragon for all future releases in the series. And this says, according to Kotaku, Sega will be making the change in order to ensure the title is more closely aligned with the Japanese name. In much the same way the Resident Evil series is known as Biohazard in Japan, the Yakuza series has always been known as Like a Dragon in its native country. So the change is simply meant to streamline the series titles, I guess. So that's interesting. So I didn't realize that, but that is the reason, I guess. There you go.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, let's move on to the next game, Jake. This one looked really awesome. This one's called Pacific Drive. It's coming to PS5. It's developed by Ironwood Studios. What'd you think of this?
So, it's probably one of the more interesting things that they showed at this with this state of play. It might even be... I don't know if it's the most interesting, but it's the most unique probably. Mm-hmm. It's like the idea of like a survival game where the whole concept is you're driving around a fucking Woody, which is, for those of you that don't know, there were old station wagons back in the 80s and 90s that had wood paneling on the side of them. Mm-hmm. And that's like the whole idea is it seems like it's a survival game, but you're driving around in a fucking wood-paneled station wagon, like, getting shit to upgrade it, and I'm guessing you have to probably, like, explore, trying to get farther and farther out from your home base and stuff, and I don't know a lot about it, but it looks interesting. I need to see more, though.
So this is what it says on the PlayStation blog, because they have a little synopsis of some of these things that they showed at the State of Play. The first thing that came to mind was a game called Race the Sun. I don't know if you ever played that game. That was a VR game. It was also a non-VR game. And you literally just try to dodge obstacles as long as you possibly could. And then when you hit something, it would tell you how long you survived, and it'd give you a score.
So like Flappy Bird.
Sure. Exactly like Flappy Bird. No, I don't fucking know what that means, but sure, I'll go along with you. So this says on the PlayStation blog, born from the rhythm of an engine, Pacific Drive is a run-based, first-person driving survival game. So it does say first-person. It says, as you explore the zone, your car is your lifeline. Scavenge resources to maintain and improve your car. As long as you keep it running, it will protect you from the surrounding dangers. In 1955, the U.S. government seized a region of the Pacific Northwest by eminent domain. The Olympic Peninsula became the staging ground for promising new technologies, but these utopian creations came at a great cost. Severe radiation, environmental collapse, and supernatural horrors. The government walled off the area and established the Olympic Exclusion Zone. What happened inside was never disclosed. And it says, structured as a road light instead of roguelite. Each trip from your garage into the zone is full of strange anomalies and technologies and plenty of radiation. If you keep your car in good shape, you'll be safe to explore, scavenge for resources, and drive further into distinct biomes that offer more valuable rewards. The land shifts with every passing storm, making each journey a unique experience. Discovering new resources will allow you to outfit your vehicle with defenses, trick out your garage, and find more dangerous routes that bring you deeper and deeper into the zone. It looks cool.
It's a cool concept. I don't know. I'm not like
it's original.
I'm like a real into driving games like this, but if it's forgiving enough with the roguelike shit, I could see myself at least being interested in trying it out for sure.
Sorry, went down the wrong pipe. I was laughing and I took that drink. Woo! If I die, at least I'll be YouTube famous. Yeah, no, it looks really, really cool, man. I like the aesthetic. It's not like super hyper realistic, but it's also like cartoony, but it doesn't look like... It looks like they put some time into it. Next game, the previously teased Project Eve game is now titled Stellar Blade. And we saw gameplay from that. I will say, when they ran the title of this game, I couldn't fucking read it. I didn't know what it said.
Stellar Blade.
Did you have that issue? I still have some shit in my throat. Sorry, listeners.
I did not have that issue. But I could understand because they had like the swirly background image, like Final Fantasy or something.
Charlie, no, Bubba.
I could totally understand why you might have trouble reading it.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I'm not into these kinds of games, but I really did like the old guy with like all the mechanical shit, like the robot guy that was narrating. Do you remember that guy?
Dude, I think this game looks fucking awesome.
Do you?
Personally. Yeah, I love the imagery of this game. I love the enemy design. I don't know if it's too like over the top hack and slashy. I don't know if it's more like, to me, I'm hoping that it's more along the lines of, it's giving me Nier Automata vibes.
Okay.
In terms of like its kind of the story concept. So like I'm hoping that, you know, maybe it goes down that road a little bit, because yeah, I don't know. I love the imagery. I love, like, you're talking about that old guy that's, like, narrating.
He looks
like
awesome.
A fucking cyborg. He, like, looks dope as shit.
I love the idea of, like, an old cyborg. Like, a wise cyborg. Like, he's wiser than the other automatons.
Yeah.
It's like the antithesis of technology, right? If you have really old technology, typically it's stupider. But this gives the impression that because this guy's been around for fucking ever, he's smarter than everything. I don't know.
Pretty awesome.
I like the conundrum. Fair enough. We got a sneak peek of a bonus PS5, PS4 exclusive quest for Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know how I feel about this game. At times I think it looks super janky, and other times I'm like, wow, this looks really good. I think we're going to be maybe down the middle on this one. I don't know that everyone's going to love it.
It's really tough to say, but I'm holding out hope that this is going to be a really great game, and I am really excited to play it, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't really.
Is this a day one buy for you?
I mean, we'll see when it gets closer to launch, but I am guessing probably yes.
All right.
Mostly because, I mean, I personally am very interested in it, but also Sarah, my wife, is an incredibly big Harry Potter fan, so I know that she's really interested in seeing it.
Yeah.
Whether she plays it or I play it, someone's gonna play it probably. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't. I mean, regarding this quest specifically, I don't know. I mean, it looks kind of neat, I guess, but I'm more interested in like what the moment-to-moment gameplay actually looks like.
Yeah. And
feels like.
Yeah, I can't imagine this bonus exclusive quest is going to be super long. I would guess anywhere between like an hour or two, if you're taking your time. Usually these console exclusive quests are never very... they just want you to... I don't know. It's anyone's guess.
I guess we'll find out.
It's anyone's guess. All right, so let's get on to some PSVR 2 titles. Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Star Wars title, PSVR 2, looks fine. Again, when they show PSVR 2 games on a flat screen, you can only guess, what it's going to feel like when you put the headset on. I mean, it looks fine. A Star Wars game, sure. It makes sense. They're trying to push the new unit. I didn't have any opinion on this, except meh.
Yeah, I don't know. VR games, like you said, are so difficult to judge via a trailer. I mean, to me, like, you really have to feel it when you're playing it to know if you're actually going to like it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to reserve judgment on this game as well until we actually, like, get a chance to really see it in person. It's already out on PC, I think. So it's not like it's a new thing either.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't looked to see what the reviews are like on PC, but I'm guessing if it's coming to PlayStation,
Must be okay.
It probably is reviewing decent enough that they feel the need to port it. So
yeah,
or at least it's performing decent enough that they need to port.
Well, Rogue Squadron was a great Star Wars game on PSVR, and I would like to see them port that to VR 2 for sure. Yeah. But the other PSVR 2 title that they showed has also been launched on other VR platforms last year, but it's making its way to VR 2. And it is a title called Demio, and it essentially looks like Hero Quest, which is a dungeon crawler that you roll fucking dice and you control little miniatures and you fucking play games. It looks so awesome. People are stoked about this one, I think. So that'll be cool. And again, I didn't look to see the reviews or anything, but I hope it's cool. And then moving on, they riffed a bit more on the PS Stars, which is like the bonus program, the loyalty program. They've confirmed that the collectibles that you earn in PS Stars or get in PS Stars can be displayed on your PSN profile. So that's kind of nice. Sure. Do I care? Not really. And they're not NFTs. And then lastly, we saw a game titled Synduality coming to PS5 in 2023. And it's supposed to be like according to the blog, a dystopian futuristic adventure. Journey alongside your AI partner in Mecha to reclaim lost ground for humanity. I don't know how I feel about this one either.
I think this looks good. I think the thing that helped me is I watched both of these gameplay trailers for Japanese games. When I say that, I mean, what was the last one we talked about? Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
And this Synduality game. I watched them both with the sound off, and I think that helps a lot. Because I'll be completely honest, and we've talked about this on the podcast before. I think that there are a lot of great Japanese games that turn people away because the trailers are fucking shit. They don't know how to make a trailer to appeal to a Western audience, and maybe there's something to be said about they shouldn't have to do that, right? They should be able to kind of make their trailer their way.
Yeah, sure.
And they shouldn't have to like adopt Western style. But at the same time, a lot of these games are great. I'm not saying don't make the Japanese trailer, but maybe like have your publisher in the States also make a trailer for the Western audience. So like
it's not going to hurt anything.
A thing like the State of Play, a game like this, you want to see a trailer that's fucking cinematic and artfully tailored, like a trailer for The Last of Us or something like that. You don't want to see these. There's
fast-paced mechs sliding around.
So for like a Western audience, it's really bizarre to watch a trailer where like the music doesn't necessarily match the action, doesn't necessarily match like the fucking voiceover that's happening at the same time. Right. They're all like competing for like senses.
For your attention, yeah, right.
For your attention. Like they're all saying and doing different things.
The music's always like this. It's just like that the whole fucking time. And it's like fighting. You're just like, what the fuck is this? And then it's over, and you're like, I don't know. I can't call it.
And it's some guy like with a poor fucking dub that's like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. Fight.
It's like okay. The problem, and I sincerely do not mean to poke fun.
No, we're not
at
poking
Japanese
fun.
Gaming culture.
No,
I'm just saying from a Western perspective, if you want to sell these games, the trailers need to be a little bit more like cinematic and Western tuned. They can still show a lot of gameplay and stuff.
I love
but it's
a lot of those games. I really liked Nier Automata. I liked what's that other game I played that I liked a ton of, a boatload of. It's not coming to me. There was another one that was
even for example,
Valkyria Chronicles, right? That's a fantastic game. And
Valkyria Chronicles, even like Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I know you haven't played, but like even that game, like that game sold on name alone.
Yeah,
I don't know that the trailers were not like super bad, but they were still very. You have to be able to like get over. There is some like translation jank that goes on.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre, but I will say that I like the last game I said, Stellar Blade. I thought this game looked cool too, and I love the idea of having a mech that you like fly around, but it's like an open world action kind of third person shootery kind of game. I think that's kind of dope, but
sure.
I need to see more.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the big problem, like you said, is like it does seem like in some of those trailers, every sense is being challenged to focus, and it's just almost too much. It's sensory overload. Like there's always usually there's always really big font on the screen, like block font, like bam, bam, it hits you in the face as you're watching it, and then the music's crazy. And then you're not like I watched that and I honestly had no clue what this game was about. Reading on the PlayStation blog what it's about sounds cool to me. Right? So it says Synduality is set in a dystopian future where poisonous rain and deformed creatures wreak havoc on the world, where you and your AI partner must find a way to work together and reclaim lost ground for humanity. Adding to the excitement, we have partnered with prominent designers Nico for character design and Gyobo for mech design to bring their unique sci-fi style to the game. Please check out the reveal trailer below for a first look. And it talks about the world that you're in, how you're searching for scarce resources, and they call it a cradle coffin. Is that when you get inside the mech or something? The world seems that you would take on a role as drifters who make a living by collecting AO crystals, a rare resource that can only be obtained in dangerous terrestrial environments. You will take on each mission in your cradle coffin, an armed vehicle. Fucking awesome name for that. Vehicle that would get you mobile during the adventure. Players can personalize the cradle coffin, not only its appearance, but the weapons equipped, as well as make your cradle coffin suit your own playstyle. Sounds rad. But like the trailer, dude, I had no idea what I was watching.
It's a lot of a lot of smash cuts and shit. Like to me personally, I'd almost rather them just show like 2 minutes of a character just walking around the world and like killing a couple things. Yeah. Just like continuous gameplay.
Yeah, right.
Not like these fucking smash cuts of like explosions and lots of particle effects and numbers popping up.
I love the guitar solos and stuff. I love all that shit, but like it's just I don't, it's sensory overload. It's here and gone. I'm like, I don't know what I just saw. And then you see a title and it's like I can barely read it. Like the other one, like I couldn't read that one. Stellar Blade or whatever it was. Anyways, that's it. That's it. We ended on Synduality. That was it for the PlayStation State of Play. I wanted to talk real quick about a couple games that we haven't really talked about on the show that need just a little bit of attention here before we sign off. We're getting a sequel to Hollow Knight, and the game is going to be titled Hollow Knight Silksong. We already knew about that, but we weren't sure if it was coming to the PlayStation, right? So the game was actually announced in 2019, but it's been confirmed this game will make its way to PS4, PS5 now. Jake, any opinions on Hollow Knight? Did you play that game?
So I played a few hours of the first one. I never finished it. I don't know if there was a reason why I didn't. The game was too...
It was...
At the time that I played it, it was too somber for me.
It's a Metroidvania too, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with the gameplay so much as that it was just too somber.
Okay.
Like it was dragging down my vibe, if you know what I mean. And like I don't know what to say about it other than that. It seemed like a good game, and I know a lot of people like it, but so I don't really have a lot of room to be making comments or judging.
Right.
On
Hollow Knight was
games.
developed by Team Cherry and published by Team Cherry, but it did really well. People really like it. It's a very beloved game now, and I just want to let the listeners know we are getting Hollow Knight, the sequel, Silksong. I don't know what the release date is. I'm not sure it's been announced, but we know it's coming to PS5, PS4. The next one is a game I'm not sure that you played or not, but Outer Wilds. It's been on sale many times recently. It's getting a free PS5 upgrade. This is a game that I always wanted to try, but I haven't gotten into, haven't tried it. Is this a game that you've played, Jake?
So I have not played it, but I've heard it's really good.
Right.
So I would definitely be interested in trying it out.
I wouldn't be.
Haven't had a chance to.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those games that eventually rolls out to extra, essentials, whatever, premium. I bet you Outer Wilds eventually makes its way.
So when this game came out a little bit before Outer Worlds came out,
right.
And I kept getting the two of them confused. Mm-hmm. But I remember.
Maybe I have them confused right now. Let me look it up.
No, Outer Wilds is the like indie game.
Yeah.
And Outer Worlds is the like Fallout knockoff.
Yes.
Knockoff is a pejorative, but it's a very good game. But it's like, you kind of know what I mean when I say that.
Yes.
So, I haven't played it, but I've heard it's very good. So I would like to give it a try.
If any of the listeners have played this game, write in and let us know what you thought of it, because I'm actually kind of interested in picking it up. All right, the next game. I don't remember if I actually talked about this game on a previous podcast. I could have on the podcast when LJ was on. I don't think I did, though. But there was an interesting video about a game called The Chant. And the video was all about the audio direction of the game. So the audio director of the game, Paul Ruske, he goes on and he discusses the process of crafting the spooky music for the game. And I'll try and remember to put a link up on our Patreon for the patrons to check out this video. But if I don't, you can find the video at the Push Square website where we get a lot of our news. But we always like to discuss music and video games. And the game The Chant is developed by Brass Token. And they also obviously cite inspiration for the music by hinting references of like John Carpenter. So the game is set to release November 3rd, which means it's coming out really soon. It's a spooky game. It's just after Halloween. It's a single-player, third-person horror action-adventure game set on a remote spiritual island retreat. To survive, you must craft, fight, and escape the psychedelic horrors set loose when a ritual goes wrong and awakens a dimension of cosmic terror. It looks fucking rad.
This is that game that looks dope. That looks like it's about like a fucking cult or something, right?
I think it is.
Where like everyone's wearing white robes and shit.
I think that's this game
on the island.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, it looks cool. I'd like to play it.
They're getting some push. This was a thing I think that they did this really nice video for, and it looks like it could have even been featured on the PS blog. I don't know, but I'll post a link up. It's always really cool to see music creators and their process for video games, right? And this guy said that like Paul Ruske, he was kind of talking, and he said like, you know, because they kind of it has like a 1980s, mid 80s, late 80s kind of vibe to the game, but it also has a modern twist on it. But some of the music he was using had kind of like that techno 80s sound to it, like the spooky sound. But then like he was talking about how it was a really tough line to walk because so much of the game is dependent on the soundtrack and the spookiness and elevating the tension. And he said one of the first parts of the game, there's like a chase scene, and he couldn't get like the right drum rhythm, so he hired this female drummer from France who was like a jazz drummer or something, and it shows her like fucking drumming on the video, doing this shit, and really cool kind of spontaneous drum stuff going on. And I was like, man, that would be really cool for like a chase scene. It's just interesting as musicians, Jake, to have these conversations once in a while. So I'll put that up on the Patreon if anyone's interested. I'll try to find the link and put it on there when I post this episode. Make sure to give it a look. It's only like 4 minutes long. It's really interesting. I don't know. But I'm interested in the game.
Yeah, and influenced by John Carpenter is always a plus, because I love those fucking John Carpenter soundtracks. They're so good.
Yeah.
From those old movies.
Someone who knows their horror, right? To cite him. Yeah, so it should be good. I see your cat in the background. It's hilarious. I don't think you can see her on YouTube, but she's just staring up at the guitar case. It's just freaky looking. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So next news point, 110. Sorry. Is Resident Evil 4 remake. So this is a big game. I think this is one of the more appreciated Resident Evil games, and it was only coming to the PS5, and they have now indicated that they're going to be releasing it on PS4 as well. Take what you want from that. Could that be good? Could it be bad? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
That makes it kind of sound like they originally developed the remake for the PS5 and then realized that they could also push it out on the PS4, which I'm okay with. What I hate is when they try to make it for the old version and then constrain it via that technology and then move it to the PS5.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping, if there is a delay, that it's like, okay, we'll release the PS5 version and then maybe there's a delay before the PS4 version comes out, because we need some extra time to like delete polygons or whatever the fuck they do to like make it stupider looking. So
easy.
Like,
hey.
Or sorry, it probably will just boil down to a slower frame rate.
Yeah.
Like it might be 30 frames as opposed to 60 frames.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm okay with this as long as it doesn't hold up the PS5 release or impact the development at all. Because ultimately, if it's on more consoles, more people have the opportunity to play it. And if you haven't played Resident Evil 4, have you played Resident Evil 4?
I don't think I have.
It's fucking amazing. So everybody needs to play this game. It is widely considered. It is widely contested as the best Resident Evil game. So, I mean, I know that there are arguments for 2 and stuff like that, but I think that it definitely makes sense for them to try to release it on as many consoles as possible, because people are really going to be interested.
Is this the one that they put out in VR recently?
Yes.
Okay.
On PC, I believe.
Yeah, but it was all the old graphics
Oculus.
and stuff. It wasn't up-resed or anything.
I think so. Yeah, they might have up-resed it a little bit or something, so that it wasn't like literally fucking 480p or whatever the hell or PS2
well, we'll find
was,
out
but
if I like it. I don't know. 2 more news points, and then we're going to talk about the new games coming out. This next one is a pretty well talked about PlayStation game coming out. It's FORSPOKEN, and I hear things that, you know, one of the trailers got ragged on quite a bit, and I don't know why, but as we approach nearer to the release of this game, we get another trailer thanks to the Tokyo Game Show. And however, the entire trailer is in Japanese. So if you don't speak Japanese, you're not going to understand what they're saying, but it still looks good. The game looks good, and FORSPOKEN, of course, will be releasing January 24th, 2023. It's developed by Luminous Productions and published by Square Enix. And the co-director, Takeshi Terada, this game, he says this game's going to take upwards of 30 to 40 hours to beat. It's a pretty long-ass game.
I guess I'm okay with that. I mean, I wouldn't want it to be any more than that for an open world game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They need to stop showing this fucking game. They need to just let it come out, because they've released so many fucking trailers over the past 2 years of this game that, and every time they release it, now they're gonna have a hard time clowning on this trailer because it's in Japanese and nobody understands it. But everybody just fucking clowns on every trailer that comes out for this game because they hate the writing for it.
Yeah.
So, and like just like the dialogue of the main character,
the script, right? Yeah.
Which, whatever. But the gameplay, nobody is arguing that the gameplay looks fucking awesome. So, I am interested in playing this game, I'll be honest. And I haven't watched a single trailer for it in the past probably year, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I saw the first trailer, I liked it. I saw the second trailer, I liked it. And then they released like 3 more trailers, and I'm like, I don't need to see any more trailers. Just release the fucking game.
This trailer looks real good.
Yeah, so we'll see when it comes out. I think it comes out like in January or something, right? So January 24th, you have it written.
Yeah, January 24th.
Yeah, so it's not too far away.
So it's not the last we're going to hear about this game before it releases, that's for sure. I'm sure we're going to get more deep dives. We'll probably get a state of play all for it. It's hard to say. This is a PlayStation exclusive or no?
That's a good question. I honestly don't remember. I feel like I thought it was, but I don't know if
Same.
it actually is. What's FORSPOKEN? All I can think about is how dumb the fucking name is.
Yeah, Project Atheon was so much better.
Project Athia or whatever, yeah. PlayStation 5 and Microsoft Windows, so it's console exclusive on PS5.
Okay, interesting. All right. Well, that's all we need to know as far as that. Last point of news, Jake, is we are finally, as PlayStation fans, are going to get our hands on an Octopath Traveler game. Octopath Traveler 2 was revealed for PS5 and PS4, and it's coming February of 2023. My question is, are we going to get part 1?
Dude, I don't know what the hell is up with Square Enix.
Why can't we have part 1?
Like, they are really weird about who they choose to release their games on. It's like they actively, it's almost like they're actively trying to get people to buy every single console, because like there'll be games like that are like a lot of their games like this are exclusive to Switch, and then like, oh, it might come to Xbox but it doesn't come to PlayStation, and then so like for example, Octopath Traveler 1 is on Xbox right now. Octopath, but it's not on PlayStation.
It was released on
Octopath
Switch.
Traveler, right. Octopath Traveler 2 is coming to PlayStation, but it's not coming to Xbox. So, what, you have to, if you want to play 1 and 2, you have to own an Xbox or a Switch and a PS5? That's fucking stupid. Just release them both. But it's probably, I mean, it could be that, like, you know, Nintendo is like, we'll sign this exclusivity deal with you, but, like, we don't care so much about Xbox, but you can't fucking release it on PlayStation because we're competing Japanese companies. That's a little bit freaking tinfoil hat, but, like, I don't understand why Square Enix is so bizarre with their exclusivity of their games.
Yeah. If you're not
I just wish they would release them for just release them for everything.
Yeah. Some people,
I don't even want it to be exclusive.
some of our listeners might not even know what Octopath Traveler is. It's
so good, by the way, because I did play it on Xbox. It is so good.
It's so Octopath Traveler is an RPG, and it's got a really interesting art style. It's like 2D but 3D at the same time.
They call it like HD 2D.
It's really
like
pretty,
that.
dude.
It's like what they call it. It's basically like they made a 2D like SNES style JRPG, but in like Unreal Engine 4. So it's got like the water effects and the lighting, and like the maps are actually made with 3D models, even though they're textured with like the fucking pixel art from like the SNES era. It's really interesting looking, and I hope that they do more of this with more games.
So listen, if you go to the Wikipedia of Octopath Traveler, it doesn't make any sense, like you're saying, about the shit that it's released on. And I didn't even realize that a prequel came out on iOS. So, here, let me give you this. Octopath Traveler is a role-playing video game developed by Square Enix in collaboration with Acquire. The game was released for Nintendo Switch in July of 2018, for Microsoft Windows in June 2019, Stadia in April of 2020, and for Xbox One in March of 21. The game has sold over 3 million copies worldwide by September 2022 and received generally favorable critical reception, with the most common point of praise going to the graphics and art style. A prequel, Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent, launched for Android and iOS in 2020 in Japan, followed by a worldwide release in 2022. The sequel, Octopath Traveler 2, is set to release worldwide for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5, and Windows. It's like, what? Like, what? Like, just release it on everything, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I guess if you want to play them both, you have to own a Switch, which is kind of...
It doesn't make any sense.
Or I guess a PC, but... Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. The games are good, though, so... It's definitely worth playing. And they also released that game Triangle Strategy, which is only out on Nintendo Switch right now, which is also the same kind of graphical style and vein. So, but just like based on what you were saying about when they released it on the different platforms, how it was like every year it was coming out on a new platform. Everyone thought that like this year it was going to come out on PlayStation, but it just never did. So who knows? I mean, maybe before 2 releases on PlayStation, we'll also get 1 coming up to it, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess the prequel had some free-to-play game mechanics in a turn-based JRPG. Destructoid apparently noted similar concerns about how modern free-to-play mechanics would mesh with a traditional JRPG. Other outlets such as IGN and Touch Arcade expressed hope that the game would eventually be localized. So I don't know that this is Champions of the Continent, the prequel. I don't know. I was going to just check and see if I could get it on one of my Apple devices just to fucking dive in a little bit. And from what I understand, though, too, like I know people who've played the game but only played it like one story for like one of the characters. All the stories are individual stories that eventually maybe intersect. I don't know. But you get to pick whose story you want to play at what point. So I don't know if Octopath Traveler 2 is a continuation of the first character's stories or if it's just a brand new game.
It's like a bunch of new characters in their stories. Yeah, they could do it either way. I mean, the way that they do it is like all the characters are traveling together, but all of the characters will do each like it's like basically like I'll join your group, but we have to at some point do my thing. And so like all the characters will go and do all the stories on this person's arc and then that person's arc and then it's like they're all working together to solve everybody's problems. It's very interesting and unique kind of strategy, and it is really cool to have like a bunch of different stories kind of combined into one game.
Yeah, it says, in the world of Celestia, 8 new travelers venture forth into an exciting new era. Where will you go? What will you do? Whose tale will you bring to life? Every path is yours to take. Embark on an adventure all on your own. It looks like it's still HD 2D graphics, and it just familiar mechanics. So it looks like it's essentially just another Octopath Traveler game with no intersecting storylines, based on the website. So that's I'm okay with that. But I still would like the original. Just saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get into new games, Jake. New games coming out this week, and this is a little post week because we're recording this on the 17th, and I was having trouble. See if you can find a more updated list, Jake, because this list ends on September 16th. Usually, I pull these from Push Square. When I did the notes, there wasn't any newer game list, and they might not release it until Sunday or Monday. We're recording this actually a little early for Jake and I. Usually we're at the 11th hour rushing around trying to get this shit done. I say that as if it's such a burden, but we're doing this on Saturday, so we have a little bit of extra time, but maybe a little bit of a recap as well as some additions to what we talked about as the new games last week, unless Jake can find a new list. September 13th. Yeah, this was on there because I laughed and I almost said Little Orpheus. Little Orpheus on PS5. Isonzo PS5. Voice of Cards, The Beasts of Burden on PS4. Windstorm, Start of a Great Friendship on PS4 is released. There are new additions to the last one that I did talk about last week, so we'll talk about some more of these. December 14th, Anyone's Diary came out on PSVR. Cube 10th Anniversary. Unexplored 2, The Wayfarer's Legacy came out. September 15th, we had Arcade Archives Rompers. Blind Fate, Ido no Yami. Despo's Games. Fire Commander, PS5, PS4. Inertial Drift, The Twilight Rivals Edition. Metal Hellsinger on PS5. Outer Wilds on PS5. We talked about that in this show. Paddles, PS5, PS4. SBK 22. Wayward Strand. September 16th, Crystal Ortha. Last Beat Enhanced, Lit, Bend the Light, Maggie the Magnet, Plunder Panic, Stroke the Dog, The Dark Prophecy, Trash Soldiers, Undernauts, Labyrinth of Yomi, Unichrome, A1, Bit Unicorn Adventure, and Various Day Life. Those are the games. Did you find an updated list or no?
No, and we talked about fucking SBK 22 last week because I talked about how all those games are made by the same fucking
And
company.
this list is bigger than the one we had last week, though, so they must have added to it. So it is what it is. So no current game list for the listeners, but I don't know how much they really care. It's just fun for us to look at them and talk about them in case something stands out, but nothing. I mean, there's a VR game on here.
Metal Hellsinger's fucking awesome. So I don't know if I'll play it just because I'm pretty sure that if they have a mode where you don't have to like start over if you die, then I'm all about it.
You said that exact same thing last episode. It's so funny.
I know. But that game is so good.
Yeah.
I apologize for those that are listening that are like, quit fucking talking about it.
Well, we probably have some new listeners listening this month or this week, so yeah. I mean, you've got the pedestal, man. You've got the, what do they say? You've got the floor. The floor is yours. You've got the floor, Jake. Say it. Say what you want to say.
If you own a PlayStation 3, you should play Warhammer Space Marine and Richard.
Oh.
If you're a long time PlayStation PS This Is Awesome listener, and you haven't played Richard or Warhammer Space Marine, then you're not a real listener of PS This Is Awesome. Just saying.
This is 100% a fact. And if you haven't played the first season of The Walking Dead Telltale, you're obviously not a fan of this podcast.
Right.
Or any of the Uncharted games. Boom.
I wish that we had the rights to play that fucking intro song to Richard on the show.
Let's write the studio and ask him. I can't even remember what it sounds like at this point. I remember it being good.
Yeah. Remember it started like it had like the slide guitar. I was like,
it's so good. So
yeah,
good.
It turned into like this like twang fest, and he's like drinking beer in a fucking rock hopper. It's so cool.
All right. Well, let's be done with this for the day, man. I hope the listeners enjoyed this podcast. There was a lot to talk about. We talked about the state of play. We talked about games we're playing, VR2 talk. We had a lot of talk. The Chant, all kinds of things. The new Hollow Knight game. What else did we talked about? The Octopath shit. FORSPOKEN. Resident Evil. All that good stuff. So we're always talking games, Jake. And we do just tend to chat a lot about bullshit. But I don't know that this is true. But lately I feel like we haven't been giving much opinion on the show. We're just kind of talking, this happened, that happened, this happened. But I feel like we are giving opinions, though. I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving opinions.
I don't know. I was just saying, I feel like I give only opinions. And you just kind of present the
You're
show.
full of fucking opinions. Yeah.
But I'm the color commentator, so that's fine.
You are. Yeah, I kind of direct things, and I'll chime in where I need to. I think we've got a good formula. I get excited when I need to, when I want to. I will say Darkest Dungeon 2 is still early access. I want to get back and beat the first Darkest Dungeon, but I don't think it's ever going to happen, man. That game is so brutal, so tough towards the end. I just need to restart it. It's so fun. It's so fucking fun. This is the time of year. Yeah, anyways, I digress. I'm done. Jake, do you have anything to tell the listeners? Anything you'd like to get off your chest before we close off for the week?
No. My hockey season starts tomorrow, which I'm super fucking stoked about.
Yeah.
Which means that it's getting close to winter, which also means that theoretically I'll have more time to play video games. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, don't really got a whole lot going on.
I got to pull some weeds tomorrow. Domestication is set in. I was going to do it today, but today was my kind of dick around, paint miniatures, and prepare the podcast and have a good, relaxing Saturday. So tomorrow's going to be an outside in the yard work kind of day, which I'm looking forward to, but at the same time I'm not, because I'd rather just be sitting inside playing video games or painting miniatures again. But such is life, man. But I'll let you go. Thanks for tuning in, listeners. This has been episode 241 of PS This Is Awesome. We're a PlayStation podcast. Been doing this shit for a long time. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for listening. It's a labor of love, obviously. And again, if you want to write the show, you can write us at psthisisawesome@gmail.com, or you can throw us $1 a month on our Patreon just to help us out and say thank you. And you can post on there, interact with us. I'm going to be posting these episodes as I do every week on our Patreon site. And if we record them early, you guys might get them a day early if you're on Patreon. Not that even fucking matters to anybody, but it's a thing, and it could happen. And I'm sorry that I just cussed. I'm in rare form this evening. So, yeah, thank you, and that's about all I have to say about that. So, like Vengeful Guardian Moonrider, Voyage, and Vroom. P.S. This is awesome.
This is awesome. You couldn't pick Valkyria Chronicles for V?